let's now implement a method for averageOf. And the input is going to be an integer array. And you can see that we can assume that the array is not empty and contains at least one element. So we wouldn't have the division by zero problem. And then the return value is going to be a double. That means whatever result you calculate is going to be with precision. Okay, for example, you can see over here, let's say for IA5 over here. So the summation of all the elements is going to be 15, 30, and also 49, and then 74. Okay, that's the summation of all the elements. And then the average will be 74 divided by 5, which will give you 14.8, right? That's what you will get. Okay, so that's what we expect to see. You should really have the 0.8 as the as part of the result with precision. So you gotta be careful. So now how do we calculate that? Okay, let's see. I'll show you a almost perfect version, which will be a very common mistake, and then we'll see how we can improve it. So first of all, we can declare integer because every element is an integer, so we just accumulate all the values together before we divide that by the number of elements in the array. Okay, the sum is assigned to be 0 to begin with, and it will iterate through the array from the smallest index into the biggest index. Integer I, 0, I less than IA dot length of the array, and I plus plus. Okay, very standard way of walking through the array. And then sum accumulated with the current elements we're looking at, which will be IA at position I. Okay, and then now how do we calculate the average? So the average should be a double value, right? As we say, should be with precision. Now double is going to be sum divided by IA dot length. Okay, and then we can now return, okay, double average is assigned to this expression value. Okay, the sum divided by the number of elements, and then return average. So this version here is almost correct. However, we should be careful. It's not exactly correct. Okay, especially you will see that for this particular array input I just mentioned is not going to give you the right result. Let's see why. First of all, let's execute utility testers. Right click and then say run utilities tester over here. And let's see what we have for IA5. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth input. Okay. Now let's just wait for the Gradle to build, and then we'll see. Okay, you will see over here 1, 2, 3, 4 is giving us 14.0 only. Okay, it's not really 14.8. So what's going on over here? Okay, the reason is you can see that. Think about this. Remember what we said before. Okay, so let's see what's going on over here. Okay, let's copy this array over here into iPad, and then I will show you exactly what's going on over here. So let me just write it down. So IA5 is pointing to an array of size 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then we have 5, 10, 15. 5, 10, 15. And then we have 19 and 25. 19 and 25. We know that at the end of the iteration, the sum is going to be, okay, all the summation of all the numbers, as we knew from before, is going to be 74, right? And then when we actually try to calculate the average over here, let's look at the expression there. Okay, when we say double average, okay, average is going to be sum divided by IA5.length, which will give us 5. Okay, so that means we got 74 divided by 5. Remember what we said before. In Java, if you try to do integer division, if you do division and both operands are integers, in that case, it will only give you the quotients of the result. So that means it will only give to you 14, right? And as an aside, how do you get a remainder? If you say 74 remains modulo 5, it will give you the remainder of 4. Okay, so that's something that's missing. Okay, so now this is why you actually didn't get a precise result that you were expecting. Okay, because now both operands for the division are integers. We should read at least change one of them into a double. Okay, so how do we do that? So I'll show you different ways of doing it. So one way to do it would be, for example, you can do a cast. But when you do the cast, be careful. You can either cast this one over here. You can say double. Okay, if you say that, if you say run again, hopefully you will see 14.8 in the result. Okay, for that one, you will see 14.8. Okay, so this solution work. Okay, so this version work. So I'll just put it there. Okay, let's have another version over here. What about if I say double average is assigned to sum divided by IA dot length. Let's say I want to cast. What about this one here? Okay, remember we said before the cast operation has higher priority than division. So that means we're gonna cast the sum from integer into double first before we do the division. Okay, let's have a look to see if this one will work. Okay, let's say for this one over here, this one also worked, so we also got 14.8. What about another one? Okay, let me just copy this. What about if you just want to copy, you want to cast all the things, everything. If you want to cast both operands, that will also work. You can either cast one or both, at least one. Okay, so this one here, although it's not really necessary, but you can cast it if you like. So this one is as if you do the following. Okay, it's like you cast this, you also cast that. Okay, this one will also work. And then I'll show you another one that wouldn't work. Okay, so you should really know why. Okay, so this one also works. Okay, so these all work. Okay, let me show you a not working version. What about if I say double average is assigned to, let's say double over here, and then I put sum divided by IA dot length. What about that? I still do a cast, but now what does it do? What this will do is, because the parenthesis forces the order of evaluation, so we're going to do this integer division first. So 74 divided by 5 will still give me 14. And then 14 is cast into a double, which is port 14.0. So I still miss that precision. Okay, I missed the 0.8. Okay, so now if you try that, you will see that this one doesn't work. Okay, let's see that. Okay, this one also, so this one doesn't work. Okay, so now this one doesn't work. So now finally, I want to show you one more. Let's say I want to actually keep the, let's say I don't want to do any cast. Is it possible to get it done? It's possible. What about I say double average? Let's go back to this beginning one. Not working version, I will just put it on the, not working version, I'll just put it over here, just as a reference. Okay, so now let me just show you another one that will work. If I say double average is assigned to sum divided by IA dot length. Okay, now in this case, as we know before, if I simply do this, it wouldn't work because sum is an integer, and also IA the length is always an integer, is the size of the array. What I could have done was, if I don't want to do any cast, I can simply change this to double, which means in the beginning, when I say double sum is assigned to 0, it will be promoted directly, it will be coerced to 0.0 already, right away. And then every time when I add something up, they will be added as a double. Okay, so now that means after this, when I say sum divided by IA the length, in this case, we are no longer dividing one integer by another, because the sum is already a double. So double divided by integer will give you some precise result. Okay, so this solution also works. Okay, so you should really try to review the different possibilities to see which one works and which one do not work. Okay, okay, for this one, let's test it. It will work. Okay, let's now have a look at that. You can see this one also works. Okay, so that's about the average of. As a recap, for this method to work, because we know that we want some result with the points of the digits after decimal points, so we have to be sure that when we do the integer division, when we do the division over here, we don't have the case where both sides are integers. As long as we can somehow cast we'll try to promote one of the sides into double, then we'll be okay.